One of the most interesting features in the natural world is the spider web, a highly effective insect trap. Almost every insect that lands on it gets stuck and becomes enmeshed. The spider comes over, injects its poison, and that insect dies, becoming food for the spider. But how the spider web functions is very intriguing. You see, when the spider begins spinning that silk strand, it lays out drops of glue along the strand, kind of like beads on a necklace. And so that when the appendage of the insect lands on it, that foot, that wing, that leg is glued down and the insect can't escape. But if you think about it, no insect really should be stuck. Why? Because the glue is not that sticky. It isn't that large a glop, and no insect should be caught. But the reason why the insects are caught has to do with the nature of the spider web itself. You see, the spider web is highly flexible, so that when an insect gets its leg stuck in that glue and it tries to pull away, the strand that glue is resting on itself rises with it. The spider web is so flexible that when the insect tries to pull its leg away, it can't create any tension because the strand is so flexible. Hence, all the insect does is further enmesh itself, gets itself trapped, and becomes dinner for the spider. However, not every insect that gets caught in a spider web remains there. The squash bug, a small little insect, has a method to escape. When it lands and it becomes enmeshed in that spider web, it immediately begins salivating. It takes its legs and rubs it in the saliva, and then rubs its leg on the appendage that's stuck. And its saliva does two things. One, it looses the glue, but far more importantly, it causes a chemical reaction in the spider's web to make that spider web now brittle, so that area where the saliva touched is no longer highly flexible. Quite the opposite, it's very brittle, and in no time at all, the squash bug is able to extricate itself, fly away, and be free. When you think about the complexity of a spider web, the spider weaves a very, very geometrically proper web to be as wide as possible. It sits in the middle of it where there's nothing sticky. It runs up and down the spirals that come out of the orb that have no glue on it, so it doesn't get stuck. It knows exactly which insects to eat and which ones are poisonous to reject. It feels the motion on the spider web because it's largely blind and immediately is able to pounce. And when you study the wisdom of a spider web, its anchor points, its formation, the type of material it's made from, who taught the spider to weave silk? Who taught it to weave silk that's flexible? And who taught it how to synthesize the glue? And who taught it to put the glue every exact spot, but again, only on the radius, only on the surrounding parts of the orb, so it can catch the insects and not get caught itself? And if that doesn't cause you to wonder, then you have to ask yourself the next question. The squash bug's IQ is not very great. Yet pre-programmed into it is a reflex reaction. As soon as it gets stuck, it begins salivating. And that saliva is the perfect chemical composition to A, loosen the glue, B, to cause the spider webs to become brittle. And when you study the complexity of the natural world, when you see the gifts that God invested into each one of His creations, you see a majestic and wonderful world. You see a great creator who created a world with wisdom, with love, and wishes only for mankind and for entire creation's best.